Hey guys, I'm Lexie Smith, a mom multi-hyphenate entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of the PR Bar Inc. coaching platform and agency. In my career, I've had the privilege of guiding countless brands, ingenious publicists, eager students, and ambitious entrepreneurs on their PR journeys. I've danced with the giants and nurtured startups, directed in-house PR departments, lent my expertise to boards, and spread knowledge across universities nationwide. Throughout all of this, I've seen our industry change and evolve while simultaneously proving that some timeless fundamentals remain unshaken. This show takes you behind the scenes of the world of media, marketing, and PR, aiming to teach you all the new tips, tricks, and how the best and brightest are achieving success over SIPs. Now it's time to grow. Welcome to the show. Viveca Chow is an NYC Lifestyle Expert, influencer, and the first Hong Kong born and raised Broadway musical performer, rewriting the international city's history. Her creativity and artistry seamlessly extend to her role as a content creator, where she has effectively collaborated with and generated content for more than 550 brands, including Capital One, Samsung, AT&T, Giorgio Armani, and many others. With more than 100 million views and counting, alongside a combined audience approaching 300K followers, she is best known for creating bite-sized videos to change small local businesses' lives, amplify Chinatown, and empower New Yorkers to live their lives to the fullest in their own city. She is also a beautiful human being inside and out, and I could not be more excited to host her on the show today. So welcome, Viveca. We know you're in NYC, so let's kick it off with, what do you like to do outside of work for fun?
Lexie, thank you so much for having me. I'm such a huge fan of you and the podcast, and I've just learned so much from it. What I like to do for fun, I actually just started taking ice skating lessons, figure skating to heal my inner child.
To hear, okay, so I'm imagining you're in New York, this is how West Coast I am. Is it like Rockefeller Plaza where that classic thingy is? No, am I off? Am I right?
So I would say close. I actually started skating at Bryant Park because that's where all like the Christmas Winter Village markets are. And when I skate there, I just feel so festive. And that's kind of why I got reminded of the fact that I really wanted to figure skate when I was young. And now I am taking lessons there.
That is so cool. And when you say Bryant Park, I think of New York Fashion Week because I was a avid consumer of America's Next Top Model and Project Runway. And so
Weren't we all?
It's there. It's all like pop culture. Like, where did I hear about it on TV? Ice skating. Okay. Anything else around the city?
I kind of just am a huge adventurer. So whatever creative hobbies I kind of am drawn to, I try to find these experiences online. And I mean it's a hobby, but I also am able to monetize it. So I think that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, which we're gonna dive into. Actually, let's do it right now. So you're a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur and creative and human being. So let's dive into what I call a career cliff notes version of your career. You can honestly start wherever you want. You can start in college, you can start with Broadway, but let's tell the people all the things.
So I wanted to be an actor ever since I was 9, ever since I participated in like the first musical as the children's ensemble. And I knew that I wanted to be on Broadway. So throughout the years, during middle school, high school, I took a lot of classes and I got myself into training and eventually got into a BFA musical theater program at Point Park University in Pittsburgh. And shortly after graduation, I moved to New York City and I booked my first Broadway show, which was unbelievable. I honestly just I thought I was being pranked, to be honest, when I got the phone call. So, and ever since then, I've been acting on stage, on screen. And during the pandemic, I kind of realized that the acting industry is not as sustainable as I would like to be, just because it's so unpredictable. So I was kind of on the boat as a lot of people, what's next, right? So I kind of found the perfect segue into content creation. I started on TikTok, and it basically is very similar to acting, just in a different medium. It's still, script based, it's like entertaining, it's a value. So I kind of started there, and then I posted my first video and it got viral. And I just got the epiphany that I wanted to spotlight Chinatown, because this was when the pandemic happened. It was during the peak of the pandemic, and we were getting a lot of racism, especially the AAPI community, and Chinatown was so affected by that. So I was like, you know what, if I could contribute to this, and maybe a video would introduce one of my favorite restaurants to someone out there, that in itself was worth it for me, and it made me happy. And so I started doing that. And as time went on, and as the pandemic kind of, got back to wherever we are now, I expanded my niche, and now I cover everything from food to experiences to lifestyle. And I still try to spotlight a lot of AAPI businesses and business owners.
Okay, so what platforms, you said TikTok, and acting obviously on stage and on screen. Are there any other platforms that you are creating content for today?
I am mainly on TikTok and Instagram, and I think those two platforms remain the most powerful platforms to grow your brand, just because of the way the algorithm is written into the codes, in my opinion.
Call it the algorithm gods. I don't know. I bow down to them. Sometimes I'm mad at them, all the things, right? That's actually the perfect segue, because there's a few different topics I do want to get into today. But the first one, something I know about you is that you grew your Instagram following by 100K in 6 months. Just first off, whoa, I think I've had the PR bar account for, I don't even know, 4 years, and we're not even close. So second, I also know you have a methodology on how to strategically nail this Instagram growth. What I don't know is what that formula is. So can you share any meat, potatoes, or appetizers on, how to not let social growth just be up to the algorithm gods, as they say?
So I think it kind of works hand in hand, the algorithm and also the content itself. And a lot of the times, personally, I have been quick to blame the algorithm without kind of like analyzing like why my video wasn't doing well. So the structure of the video is really, really important. And I always divide content into 4 content pillars, right? So this would be inspiring content, it would be educational content, entertaining content, and informational content. And from there, like decide where your content fits, and do a lot of research and emulate similar creators in terms of like content style, what they're talking about, scroll through the comment sections, and look at what questions people are asking in that video, and then kind of like make a content plan and go from there. But the video itself, the most important thing is the first 3 seconds. The first 3 seconds has to be something like, think of it like an essay, right? It has to hook you in. If it's not interesting to you, it's in the first 3 seconds, most likely people are going to scroll. And what I mean by hooking someone in is like, how is this video going to be of value to your viewers? Like, what are the pain points that you're trying to hit, right? So in terms of thinking about pain points, it's like, what is the problem in the niche that you're trying to be in, and what is the solution you're offering, right? And something I also love to tell people is that the hook ideally should have the word you in it. So instead of, oh, here's my favorite Amazon finds, you need this Amazon XYZ, because when you're involving your viewers in your content, it makes them feel like they're a part of it. And also they can kind of like empathize a little more. Oh, you're talking to me. Now I feel like this strange obligation to keep watching this video. And there's a sense of urgency, right? So a lot of the times, words like must, need, you have to do really well, because you invoke a sense of urgency with your followers and viewers. And from there, they're most likely going to be hooked onto your content, feel like they're going to get value out of this if you hit the pain point correctly and continue watching all the way through, because that's the end goal, right? To watch a video all the way through, and then they can decide whether they want to follow you or not. So that is kind of like how I approach all my videos.
Did you know that I send out a community newsletter roundup every Tuesday, chocked full of resources, media kit downloads, journalist contact information, event invites, visibility opportunities? Basically, if you're not on the list, hit pause and sign up. It is super simple. All you gotta do is go to theprbarinc.com/newsworthy. That link is in the show notes too. Okay, back to the show. So in terms of, okay, that's kind of the structure, almost like the storyboarding of it. In terms of imagery, have you found, talking to the camera or B-roll, have you found themes or things that work better in that lane?
So it really depends. So remember the 4 content pillars I just touched on. Let's say you wanted, let's look at some influencers, right, that are like huge. We're talking like 13 million followers, like Michaela, Kirsten Titus, those kinds of influencers. And something they do all have in common is talking in front of the camera. But I would say that is really specific for anyone that is trying to make them the brand. So it's more like a FaceTime. So it's like, if you're FaceTiming me and I like your personality, then like I kind of want to like get hooked into your world. You know what I mean? So there are different ways of affecting your audience with how you put out your content. So let's say I'm a cooking influencer. Most likely I'm going to do a voiceover video, because that just kind of like, you can put the steps together really quickly, and then you can pop in a voiceover and it's very informational, concise, and clear. Other ways, like, I don't know, like man on the street videos where people have those mics where they're like running up to random strangers and interviewing them. That's more for like entertaining content. So it would be, if it would be for like viewers that are kind of just like looking to like, after a long day of work, they might just want to like be on their beds and scroll and have this form of entertainment. So from there, like knowing those things, kind of decide where or how your brand fits into those content pillars and go from there.
My brain right now, I'm like, dude, I'm starting to scroll about all the things I'm already going to do now. Content creation is such a big pain point for so many of us, myself included. So I already taken 500 notes. Besides the content, let's say you nail the content. Anything else that we should know in terms of growing quickly?
So the caption is actually really important. If you are kind of pumping out more informational / educational content because of SEO, search engine optimization. So this is like, let's say if someone goes on Google and searches best PR tricks of 2023, for example, and a lot of the times now TikTok videos will pop up. So this is why I really like to kind of break down what I'm saying in the video and put it in bullet form into my captions, just so that Google can pick those up, as well as a lot of audiences now, especially younger Gen Z audiences, they are using TikTok as a search platform. I've done this before too. Like a lot of life hacks and life questions, I don't even use Google anymore. So I use TikTok. Wow. So this is why the caption is so important. So if you list out in this video, you're talking about all of these things, it's most likely going to pop up when someone searches for it.
Oh my God, this is so much work, but it works.
It works. I
promise. Okay. Holy crap. I could literally hold you hostage for 20 hours and pick your brain on this, but I know there's some other topics I want to get us to. So any more kind of last things you want to, I know there's 500 things to say, but on Instagram before we kind of scoot on over to the world of partnerships?
Yeah. So I would say in order to grow, be consistent. And I posted one video every day for 2 years. And I think that really does impact my growth. Your face. I know I was so burned out. Honestly, I was so burned out. It wasn't really healthy for me. So now I think I found like a better lifestyle for that. But in terms of consistency, like as long as you're consistent, any platform is going to pick up like, hey, this creator, this account is trying. So I do think it really does help. You don't need to post 8 times a day. Do not listen to people who tell you that you need to post 8 times a day, because quality over quantity always. And the second thing is, if one video is doing better than any of your other videos, so let's say your average view is 2,000 views. If one video even goes to 3,000 views, replicate that video, replicate it in terms of content style. Like, are you talking to the camera? If you are, do that again. What are you talking about? Are you solving a problem? If you are, solve another problem. And also keep the same hashtags. And if you're using a trending audio, keep that. So replicate it, because it's like a domino effect.
Fascinating, guys. Okay. And we'll bring up later like where people can go to connect with you and if they want to learn from you, what that looks like, etc. But we are going to scoot on over to partnerships a little bit more. And on this show, we have talked about landing partnerships as a publicist and entrepreneur. These conversations, though, have largely highlighted the brand's perspective. Today, I want to flip the script and hear from the other side. And then who better to hear from, obviously, than a content creator like yourself, who has worked with more than 550 brands, from small local businesses to startups to Fortune 500. Before we get into kind of the nuances, the very first question I have is, was there a point in your journey, or when is a point in a content creator or an influencer's journey where they can even begin to think about having paid partnerships? Like, what is that threshold these days?
Some people will tell you it's a follower thing. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I do know creators who have 2,000 followers and work on paid partnerships, if they pitch correctly. And if one of their videos garnered a lot of traffic, they get reached out to in that way. So I don't really think so much as a follower count. And also there's UGC content these days, user generated content, which you don't need followers at all. Like, you don't even need a social platform, because you're creating these ad videos for the brands to run as paid ads. So it just really depends. And I think more importantly, it depends on the quality of your work and whether you're able to generate a ROI, return on investment, right?
The next biggest question in all of this. So many brands, in my experience, feel apprehensive to engage in paid influencer marketing campaigns for the fear of not seeing ROI. So I'd love to know your experience on this. Like, have you seen there is ROI in your own campaigns? Like, which is there a theme to which type of campaigns? Just really any thoughts from your lens?
In full transparency, I always know whether I'm going to be able to generate ROI in terms of what the partnership is about. So, for example, like a lot of my New York City lifestyle videos, I send people to like free pop-ups. And if a brand has a budget for that specific pop-up, they want to get butts and seats, I know I'm going to do that for them, just because like those videos always have like amazing engagement of like 12%. But I know myself, and like if a brand comes to me and they're like, hey, we have a foundation that we want to sell, like I'm not going to convert. Like, and that's just kind of like because I've focused so much on my content on like experiences. Like I haven't really built my own brand to showcase myself completely yet, which is what I'm working on in 2024. But I think that knowing the influencer and looking at their stats and like what kind of videos do they post, like do they always feature products? If they don't feature products, then maybe it's not a smart move to reach out to that influencer, even though she has a lot of followers or really good engagement, because there's going to be a disconnect there. The audience is going to know that it's an ad, and unfortunately, like in these days, ads turn a lot of people off. Once you see it's an ad, they're like, oh, well, you got paid to say this, right? So I think as cohesive you can make it with an influencer's brand, personal brand, and just knowing that it fits into their content organically, and that's going to require research, that will be the most helpful moving forward.
Okay, so if a brand has identified that you or someone is a good fit, what would you suggest from there? Should they be reaching out to you directly? Is that what people are doing? Are they going through, a management company? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so most creators and influencers have an email on their bio. And if they don't, then I definitely recommend it because how else is a brand going to reach out? So I usually, I have management now. So before it would be my email, and now it's my manager's email. So whatever email it is. And my manager actually has a very strict vetting process. And I know this because sometimes she's like, well, this email didn't have this, and now it looks sketch. So I do know that she has like a really strict process of like kind of going through it. And sometimes the biggest like mistake I would say I see through these emails is like the brand doesn't really take the time to like introduce who they are at all. There's no information. And also my manager specifically taught me this is that like she looks at the email that it's sent from. So sometimes if it's like a personal email, she might feel a little bit hesitant. But if it's a business email, she's a bit more open to kind of like researching like what's going on there. So usually we receive like a pretty detailed pitch, and then we really like it when everything is on it. So what are you looking for? Is this a paid or unpaid partnership? You know, is there budget? Because if those things aren't mentioned, that's going to be our next question is, hey, is there room for budget? You know, because while unpaid partnerships are great, like this is also my work and, you know, my energy and my time. So sometimes it's not so mutually beneficial to create a free video for a free product. So yeah, that's the next step.
Okay. So this is another huge and big question. And I think I want us to look at this from two lenses. One, for someone who's interested in getting into the influencer game, but also to give those who are wanting to work with influencers an idea of how to set expectations. How the heck is there like a standard bar for how you would go about starting to price a partnership?
Great question. I think this really depends. There are a lot of resources that you can kind of price compare and a lot of information on TikTok, actually, because a lot of social media managers are on there. But a really good resource is F you pay me, but F is like, you know, I don't want to swear on your podcast.
Like spelling out that word?
Like it's FYPM, but it stands for fuck you pay me.
Fuckyoupayme.com or fypm.com. I'm saying it. Beep.
I'm not I'm not sure the actual website. Let me look it up real fast. But that's a really great resource because it's fypm.vip.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so that is a good way to gauge a lot of brands paying influencers. So you can always start there. And a lot of creators are really transparent with their pricing online. So I would say that always price yourself higher because it's always going to go down. So at least like, you know, don't go crazy and like price like, I don't know, if you have 2,000 followers, you're pricing $100,000 for a post. That's nuts, right? Like use your common sense and like kind of go from there strategically through research. But FYPM is a really great option.
I'm 100% looking at that after the show.
Absolutely. And I would say for brands, when they reach out to me, I think the first thing I take note of is like, how personable is it? You know, does it come off entitled? Because sometimes the emails do, and it's like what we're looking for 6 Instagram reels, and what you would get is this great price of the amazing meal being at valued $200 if I was doing like a food collab. And that to me is just like there's a better way in saying it, you know? So I do look out for those details where like, are you valuing my time and my expertise as a creator? And I think with this awareness, emails can be crafted in a way that make me feel appreciated. And even if it's an unpaid partnership, like I'll most likely say yes because I'm like, wait, that was so nice. And like, I love what this brand stands for. And I understand you don't have a budget, but like, I want to work with you. I want to help you, you know? So those instances do also happen.
I wish everyone was like you. because I think you can kind of pick up on the tone or the vibe of someone by doing that research. And research is such a freaking important topic across so many different elements of marketing and PR. And the last kind of thing I wanted to chat about today, well, the second to last, is I know you recently have gone on a journey of learning more how to do your own PR. Now, some people, I will back up and say, some people will categorize influencer marketing as PR. When I'm talking about PR here, we're talking about more kind of traditional press. So I loved, and I think it's such an interesting seat for you to sit in because you are so involved in pitching in this lane. And now you're kind of switching the hat over to more traditional media. First, do you feel like there are commonalities, big differences, or what has your experience been in this journey?
My experience has been a really great one. I think that I've learned so much. And from being on the other side of pitching to traditional media, I've learned that it's really all about making it clear for the other person as easy as possible. Because most of the time, people have like, what, 3 seconds to make their impression of an email. And the more detailed something is, and the more they lay it out for me or I lay out for them, the more appealing it is, because it kind of just shows like there's like an unspoken rule where it's like, oh, this person kind of did their research. So I would say there's definitely that commonality there.
And if someone is kind of sitting on the fence, embarking, deciding, should they go down the DIY route or should they pursue a publicist? Are there any kind of considerations? This is a completely like preferential or personal question that you think would be helpful for them to weigh.
I like to do DIY because I am a huge self-starter and I get so, I don't know, I just feel such a sense of accomplishment when I'm like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm learning along the way, because I think the most important thing is to like invest in yourself, and that's the most important thing you can do for yourself, is learn a new skill. And I think that it's been such an amazing journey. And I mean, for those who don't know, Lexie is my coach, and I don't know if I can say that, but
You don't have to say that, but it's not a secret. It's not a secret. Yes, I have had the privilege of getting to work with Viveca on PR things. It's not why I'm bringing this up. Why I am bringing this up is because you've been the most phenomenal person to watch, and you've had so much success. And I think what you exemplify is the perfect person who should do DIY. And that's because you want to and you're willing and it excites you. And not everyone has that. I've worked with plenty of people who are just doing it for cost savings. And it becomes very, very clear that they aren't really truly up to do the job unless they don't succeed. And you, on the other hand, bring such an energy to the craft that you've had just as much, if not more, success than if a publicist were pitching on your behalf. So I just think it's a good like case study for people who are, balancing or weighing kind of what route is right for them.
yeah, I think at the end it comes down to how well do you know yourself, right? Like if you don't have the discipline for this, then just, go the other route and hire a publicist. But if you know that you have this like itch that you're scratching, and I don't know, I love information and I love education, and I think like learning just it's amazing. And then you can pass it on to like your friends, and like you can help them, and like it's just like it's a circle. So it's just so lovely. Yeah. And it helps that I have an amazing coach, Lexie, like my boyfriend, who's kind of like is on the side when we're on our calls, right? He just sits there, and every single time after we finish our calls, I would, hang up and I would look at him, he'd look at me, and I'd be like, huh. Every time I thought that there was nothing to talk about on the call, I'm just like hit with so much information, and it's just like so
Oh, I can
lovely.
talk. I can find something to talk about. Believe
No,
you.
it's great. It's great. It's fantastic. And I love it. Like I feel fire under my butt, and I'm like, now I'm smarter.
You are smarter. And what I can share for anyone listening who's on the brand side too is that having the opportunity to work with Viveca. She's phenomenal to work with as a human. So if you are, if you do your research, you look at her content and it is fitting for your experience or what you do, I just want to co-sign that, I have had, on the flip side, I have worked with people in the content creation category that aren't fun and great to work with. Viveca, you are. So the love fest is mutual here. Thank you guys for listening. But I do think, again, I wanted to highlight that because this is why I think you've seen so much success, is the way you've approached it and your mindset towards it. The last thing I'm going to hold you captive to talk about today is a very, very important question. Deepest one on this show. We've talked Pitchin. What can we find you sipping? What is your beverage?
That is the $1 million question.
You can do it by hour, you can do it by season, whatever you want.
Okay, so as I've gotten older, I stopped drinking alcohol because I just get headaches. I get hangovers right there, and it makes me really sad. So now I'm stepping away from alcohol. If I could pick an alcoholic beverage, it would be champagne with elderflower liqueur.
Ooh, fancy, pretty. It's like pretty and fancy.
And a little bit sweet, a little bit floral, so that is what I would go for every time I, feel up to the instant hangover I get. I don't know why it happens to me.
Yeah, it happens to a lot. And it doesn't have to be alcohol. If there's a beverage you enjoy, I think the most common answer across 6 seasons has been water, which I'm like, good for you, healthy people.
I can't relate. I'm so sorry. I am the worst. That's probably why I get hangovers, is because I don't drink enough water.
Yeah. I haven't drank water today. It's fine. I'm drinking like 5 cups of coffee. I treated myself to this. So here we are.
Nice. Yeah. So I would say my other beverage of choice is something I grew up on. It's childhood to me. It's comfort. A nice hot cup of Ovaltine. And this was very popular in Hong Kong. It's a malted chocolate drink that you can find at Hong Kong diners per se. And I would just order it. And now I bought it and I make it pretty much every night. It just tastes so good. Anything malted to me just tastes mwah, chef's kiss.
What is it? One more time. What's it called?
Ovaltine.
Ovaltine. Okay. Maybe I've heard of it. I don't know. Maybe not. I'll have to look into it. But it sounds good. It doesn't like chocolate. I do. Where can people go to connect with you, to consume your content, to get more in your world?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's my name, Viveca Chow. And I also have a website, helloitsviveca.com.
This has been so much fun. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come pitch and sip with me. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to reach out to Viveca, give her some love, give her a follow, and brands. Listen back so you can hear exactly how to pitch her, if that makes sense for you. So until next time on the Pitchin' and Sippin' podcast. Hey guys, if you are enjoying the Pitchin' and Sippin' podcast, please do me a huge favor and leave a review wherever you are listening. If you want to connect with me to learn more about the PR Bar Inc., you can do so on Instagram at @thePRBar_Inc., or you can check out my website at theprbarinc.com. Cheers!